Welcome back. This is TMI Lovely Thursday morning. Now we are going to be unraveling the repercussions of the recent arrests of Nigerian Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero. Now just days before the Imo State governorship election. Well, to join us explore the potential of this issue and the effect on the upcoming election, the off-cycle election in Imo State, we have with us from Lagos, Nigeria, Wisdom Elder, who is joining us virtually. Good morning, Wisdom Elder.
Hello, good morning, DPO. Good morning, viewers, and thank you for having me.
Definitely, it's always a delight to have you join us. I'm very sure Lagos is fine this morning. Wisdom, are you there?
Yes, very well. Lagos is very bubbling. I think they are observing a clean-up exercise today in Lagos.
Okay. All right, now take us through. We saw what happened yesterday, the 1st of November, in Imo State, where Joe Ajaero, the president of NLC, was manhandled by some individuals who are yet to get themselves in the known. However, the Nigerian police force actually said that the reason why Joe Ajaero was taken away from the scene was because they wanted to protect him. Now, let's have your take. What says you, and how will this affect the election in 9 days' time in Imo State?
Oh, okay. I think it's necessary for politicians to understand that the kind of strategy they are trying to introduce now is actually going to keep increasing by the day. Every other party will be improving on whatever they are introducing, and very soon it will be difficult to have a successful election if they continue in this pattern. Yes, the man, Joe Ajaero, was, according to reports, he was arrested, and later we heard that he was beaten. And we saw reports.
Are you there? Okay, let's take a short break now. Let's take a short break. We'll return back and establish a better connection with Wisdom Elder in a moment. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are still looking at the Nigerian Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero's arrest in Imo State recently, where he was actually manhandled. And Wisdom Elder joining us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, virtually, who was actually giving us a feel of what he think could be the repercussion of the arrest. And while we went on that break, we had the privilege of having the Noxem president, Comrade Emmanuel Ogbidi, joined us here live in the studio. Good morning, Comrade.
Good morning, DPO.
Good to have you.
Good morning, yeah.
Okay, let's return back to Lagos, Nigeria, where Wisdom Elder is actually joining us and giving us a feel of what he thinks could be the repercussion. Wisdom Elder, please take it up from there.
All right, thank you very much, DPO. Like I was saying before the short break, the trend that politicians are trying to introduce is going to definitely affect the system of electioneering. It's going to affect the system of getting people into power very soon. There will be a total, I think people are losing trust in the process right now, but very soon it might become a clash of titans during the day of election. So who wins finally the battle will be declared, because this was a precedent that was set up by INEC. I remember after the presidential election, everybody was expecting a very good respect of rule of law, Electoral Act, and the electoral guidelines. But all of a sudden, we saw something that happened in some states. After that day, nothing was done, and then that enforced the kind of election that you saw during the governorship election, whereby it became a total show of warfare, show of arsenals, show of attacks, and all the rest of them. And then this has already given some people the understanding that you can do some things in the country and get away with it.
Okay.
And now, if you go to Imo State, for example, you have a lot of draconian laws that have been set up that has made it impossible for opposition parties to even campaign, that has made it impossible for them to even be on air, on radio or TV, or made it impossible for them to even advertise their posters.
Okay.
You're charging them close to 50 million. And we have an electoral body who is regulating all these things that are supposed to wait in, but they are not. So very soon, just imagine like what is happening in Rivers State, for example. Imagine that there's going to be an election tomorrow, and a faction has interest and the other faction has interest. Imagine the kind of breakdown that you are going to be having. So these things are going to be continuing, is going to keep upgrading.
All right.
I want politicians to understand that whatever they are starting right now, we keep upgrading into something else.
All right.
I'm not telling them what, I'm just giving you, I'm just analyzing based on situations and based on how humans are.
Okay.
You who started the thing might not be there to further continue it.
All right, Wisdom Elder, let's pause you a little now. Okay, we'll pause you a little now. Let's come back to the studio where we have Comrade Emmanuel Ogbede. Now, you are the Noxen president. Should we expect any kind of reaction or protest from the labor union?
Okay, thank you very much. But very quickly, let me first of all condemn in entirety, totally, the attack on the number one worker in the Nigeria state, the person of Comrade Joe Ajaero in Imo State. That action is barbaric, it's inimical to the tenets of democracy, the freedom of expression, and all labor laws, and it amounts to executive rascality. We must condemn it, and every well-meaning Nigerians who want to see a better Nigeria tomorrow must condemn the attack on the labor union president and its member in Imo State. And also, we must also use this opportunity to call on the Nigeria police as a matter of urgency. Redeploy the commissioner of police in Imo State, investigate and possibly derank him.
Well, the Nigerian police force are actually saying that they wanted to save him. He was in a safe hand. And
derank him. As a matter of fact, we are calling on the Police Service Commission, whose current boss is a most respected former IG of police and a son of Edo State, not to allow this to be swept under the carpet in his time, because we know who he is and what he stands for. The commissioner of police in Imo State must be called for questioning for allowing such barbaric and nefarious activities to happen under his ward supervision and under his nose.
But the police are saying that they wanted to protect the man, Joe Ajaero. They wanted to protect him.
Ajaero's presence in Imo State was made known to the commissioner of police not on the day of protest. He has been aware of the fact that such an individual who have such potentials and responsibilities in his shoulder was in Imo State. Officially or unofficially, it is his responsibility to ensure that the person of Joe Ajaero's safety, security and protection is guaranteed until the last minute it exits Imo State vis-a-vis the governor. Because whether you like it or not, by security report and by privilege, when certain dignitaries enters a state, the first set of individuals who are notified, whether officially or unofficially, are the persons of the governor of that state and the commissioner of police. So, if he was there, even at the level of to attending a burial, it is the responsibility of the police boss to ensure his protection, let alone his official assignment of being a labor union leader. And he was not protected for hoodlums or political thugs or pro-government individuals from manhandling him, mobbing him, and attacking him. But he was only available with armed security men to whisk him away. It does not make any logical sense. In terms of security, that's what the police image maker has said in Imo State, that they only came to take him, to rescue him from the scene,
his safety,
protective custody.
His safety was their concern.
Where were they before the plans of that attack, before the attack, and even prior to that attack?
Okay.
We must put this into record as democratic system, that nobody owns the police. You don't take permission from the police before you engage on protest. By law, it is not, you don't seek permission. At best, you notify the police that XYZ organization is going to be engaging on this procession or protest for this reason. You don't seek their permission. And it is the responsibility of the police to give cover, security cover for every taxpayers who are engaging on a civil rally or protest to press on their demand, or to engage on any issue to ventilate in a democratic system. And that is not different from what the workers were about to do. So having notified the police, where were the security agencies before both the pro-government group and even under the supervision of the police? Because I say this without both them, because we have experienced it as comrades many times in the streets, where comrades who come out to ventilate on issues will be brutalized under the close and watchful eyes
and nobody is held responsible.
And nobody is held responsible.
Let's get to,
but this will not be swept.
Let's quickly get to Comrade Emmanuel Wisdom Elder, who is actually there in Lagos. Emmanuel, talk to us now, Wisdom Elder. We'll come back to Emmanuel Ogbidi much later. Let's get to you now, Wisdom. Now, do you think this will affect voters' behavior? Does it have any impact on them? The election is just 9 days away. What says you?
All right, yes, definitely the impact is going to be very, very massive, and the politicians know that it's going to really affect the turnout of elections. And probably those who want to rig election, this will be one of their game plans to make sure the turnout is not massive so that they can go ahead and rig election and then declare any kind of fictitious results. And I want you to understand this. Nigerians should just understand that what some politicians are trying to do is to dampen their interest into the electioneering process. Yes, they are going to vote money. INEC is going to run publicity, their PVCs, and all the rest of them. There's going to be a campaign here and there. But at the end of it, politicians will discourage you because they know that on a good day, in a free and fair election, they will never succeed. They will never win the election. So they will create a state of chaos in the whole system, in the entire state or in the entire country, so that people will not be so much interested, and then they will control the electoral umpire, control the security forces, and then impose a fictitious figure as the result. And then finally, you go and challenge it in the court. Now, this is Nigeria. We are all in this country, and you know that everyone in this country, we are very smart. We understand everything happening, but it has gotten to a stage of impunity whereby some people, politicians, they don't even care whether you understand what they are doing or not. So far, they get away with it with the law. So far, they get away with the law enforcement. So far, they get away in court. So far, they continue to impose themselves on you for the next 4 years or for the next 8 years.
Okay.
They feel it's the system.
Okay.
But where I'm driving at today is that people who introduce a system are certainly not going to be there to continue it.
Okay.
We are just setting a very tragic foundation, a very deadly foundation for the next generation of politicians in this country. We are just trying to make people understand that the law does not count, the Electoral Act does not count, the rules does not count.
Okay.
And people, you can do anything and get away so far you are able to back yourself up, so far you are able to intimidate the people, so far you are able to buy over both any sector of the people who are supposed to control or protect you. You know, so there is serious need for INEC to wade into certain matters and begin to place sanction on political parties. As it stands, that is the only way that all these things can be checked.
Okay.
But unfortunately, if the same INEC who is allowing this, who is accepting, who is admitting some of these things, if it is the same INEC we expect,
but Wisdom Elder,
actually place sanction and place it into the system, if it's that same INEC, then people are going to really lose interest in coming out.
But in this case, it doesn't really have anything to do with INEC, don't you think so? Joe Ajaero was there for an official function where they wanted to carry out a protest on the 1st of this month, yesterday precisely. So it doesn't really have anything to do with INEC to an extent. But let's come back to you now. How will this impact the relationship between politicians and labor leaders? Is it going to be difficult for them to have a good relationship?
You see, the truth is that our politicians has never had,
is that for me?
or most of our politicians has never had any good relationship with our workers. As a matter of fact, the workforce in Nigeria and in sub-national level in some states.
You think so?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Why some states have tried, in their little way to engage workers, give them very good working environment, but politicians and leaders of our countries who are criminal in nature, who invest in criminal tendencies in the midst or in the bid of getting into power, they mortgage the future of our workforce. They take the billions that would have been available for workers' salary, workers' welfare, workers' promotion, workers' trainings, and what have you. They mortgage it over the years in order to get political power and patronage. Haven't done that, and they find their way into power. There is nothing left for the workers to pay their salaries or to pay their welfare, to cater for their welfare. So the relationship has never been good. The least that you hear is that this government or this set of individuals begin to give all manner of reason why workers cannot be paid their salary. But yet, as political appointees and elected individual, before the end of the month, including their allowances and their salaries are paid. But the meager amount of money that is supposed to go to the workers are not paid.
Okay.
How do you expect such a state to prosper? And sometimes I hear some people say in social media that is it a work to pay salary? Do you count that as achievement paying salary? How do you compare now when you see some states before the end of the month they are paying salary, while some states are owing their workforce 22, 42 months? How does those governors sleep at night? How do they sleep knowing that they have families that have not been paid for 22 months? How do they sleep at night? And how do you juxtapose the fact that there is corruption in the system? Because we have built a system where the dignity of labor no longer counts.
Okay.
Where legislators, where looting,
legislators,
where looting or what have you are celebrated to the highest level.
Okay.
So the relationship of workers an executive or the government at various levels for those who are not paying their workers' salary. There's no way it can be smooth.
Okay.
And I want to encourage the workforce in Imo State that what happened yesterday should not deter them from taking their destiny into their hands. As a matter of fact, it warrants a situation where all of them will stay their seat at home. A direct boycotting of offices until that issue of attacking their labor union leaders, both at the state level and the national level, is resolved. And the executive governor of Imo State cannot exonerate himself from those issues. All
right, Wisdom Elder, this is going to be your last take. Now, do you think this will actually affect the people from coming out on the 11th of this month to exercise their franchise? Some persons are actually saying it's a means to intimidate the voters and get them on the side of the sitting governor. Let's quickly have your take.
Yeah, definitely for the forthcoming election in Imo State, a lot of factors are going to affect the people, this inclusive. A lot of factors, previous factors, are going to affect the people. Remember, it is said, there's this saying that the youth are the conscience of the society.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely as a conscience of the society, they are the first to actually absorb shocks. They are the first to actually receive an impression that is being passed across to them. They are the first to react to certain things. They are just the first to actually carry up a mandate or carry up a movement, or they are the first to actually reject it. So because of the previous activities, the previous actions and whatever transpired in previous elections, in fact, from after the presidential election, the turnout dropped in the governorship election. And if you watch the local government election in Edo State, the turnout dropped as well. And then it will keep dropping. And if you're expecting any miracle, the last election that happened in Imo State, we saw how police got involved and us, even security agencies, and nothing has happened till date. That election was not nullified. So, you know, the interest will definitely drop. The number of people who will want to participate will drop. There are certain places in Imo State that elections did not hold, but INEC gave results coming from those areas. We saw it purely, it was live, but nothing happened. In the courts, nothing happened because they felt they had their ways. So the interest in those places is going to drop. So we might have politicians looking for alternative means of winning election very, very soon. They might not be winning election free and fair in Nigeria if this trend continues. I'm just giving a kind of projection based on whatever is happening and with whatever is happening to what is going to be expected in the nearest future. If this trend continues, people are not going to be interested. We'll just see campaigners coming out to campaign. On the day of election, it will be an option whether immediate interest group of the particular candidates will come out, and those that are able to fight to hold up to their mandate will hold up, and those that are not able, they might just accept defeat, and then we wait for another 4 years. You know, that might become the trend.
Wisdom Elder.
Praying that it does not get to that.
All right.
We have a lot of sensitization to it, but we are praying that our people will come back and then rekindle their interest in the process.
Thank you so much. Let's quickly wrap it up from this end. Now, international communities advocating for labor unions, what do you think they should do at this point?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we must now begin to, you know, engage the workers. First of all, to understand and know their rights as workers. Workers must continue to engage authorities and seek for a better workforce laws and conditions for them. As a matter of fact, beyond why they are seeking for all of this, they must also begin to engage the process and give their best to the system. Because many a times these workers are not able to speak because they themselves, they have their shortcomings. and you see anybody who wants to invade into the workers' territory, they bring one or two allegations that the workforce or the workers are not qualified, that the workers, they are not upgraded, they are not, and all what have you. So workers at this point in time must do their best. Many a times you develop yourself, you are in an office 5-10 years, and you still cannot, you don't have certifications, you've not upgraded yourself. Sometimes do not wait for the government to train you. Upgrade yourself, know what is happening in other climes, and know how to engage the system to bring about a better workforce, a better work environment for your people.
Okay.
That is one thing that we must tell them. But beyond that, we must begin to tell our government at all levels. As a matter of fact, any government that is not putting priority on its workforce cannot prosper. If the salary of your workers spill into the next month, 5th, 6th, is a disaster.
Okay, thank you.
You should be able to pay your workers even before the end of the month, such that they are motivated. Workers are motivated to go about their business, to go about their duties.
Okay.
And that is where you see productivity in the system and in the state.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Emmanuel Ogbide, President Noxin, joining us here in the studio in Benin. And of course, thank you, Elder Wisdom, for joining us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. We'll be taking a break now, where we'll be joining Abuja Network Center for the next lap of the discussion. Don't go nowhere.